A brief history of the New Deal. The New Deal was a series of programs enacted in the United States between 1933 and 1938, and a few that came later. They included both laws passed by Congress as well as presidential executive orders during the first term of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. The programs were in response to the Great Depression and focused on what historians refer to as the three R's: relief, recovery, and reform. Relief for the unemployed and poor, recovery of the economy to normal levels, and reform of the financial system to prevent a repeat of depression. The first New Deal, from 1933 to 1934, dealt with the pressing banking crisis through the Emergency Banking Act and the 1933 Banking Act. The Federal Emergency Relief Administration provided $500 million for relief operations by states and cities, while the short-lived CWA, Civil Works Administration, gave localities money to operate make-work projects in 1933 to 1934. The Securities Act of 1933 was enacted to prevent a repeated stock market crash. The controversial work of the National Recovery Administration was also part of the first New Deal. The second New Deal in 1935 to 1938 included the Wagner Act to promote labor unions, the Work Progress Administration Relief Program, the Social Security Act, and new programs to aid tenant farmers and migrant workers. The final major items of New Deal legislation were the creation of the United States Housing Authority and Farm Security Administration, both in 1937, and the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938, which set maximum hours and minimum wages for most categories of workers. The economic downturn of 1937 to 1938 and the bitter split between the AFL and CIO labor unions led to major Republican gains in Congress in 1938. Conservative Republicans and Democrats in Congress joined in the informal conservative coalition. By 1942 to 43, they shut down relief programs such as the WPA and CCC and blocked major liberal proposals. Roosevelt himself turned his attention to the war effort and won re-election in 1940 and 1944. The Supreme Court declared the National Recovery Administration and the first version of the Agricultural Adjustment Act unconstitutional. However, the AAA was rewritten and then upheld. As the first Republican president elected after FDR, Dwight D. Eisenhower left the New Deal largely intact, even expanding it in some areas. In the 1960s, Lyndon B. Johnson's Great Society used the New Deal as an inspiration for dramatic expansion of liberal programs, which Republican Richard M. Nixon generally retained. After 1974, however, the call for deregulation of the economy gained support. The New Deal regulation of banking was suspended in the 1990s.